Welcome to the Sheffield United way. I'm Hal. We're going to look at goalkeeper Robin Olsen. He is a Swedish international goalkeeper. He's 31 years old. He's massive as well, certainly compared with me. He is 6'5" tall, all of him. And he's right-footed. Not that that's necessarily hugely important for a goalkeeper, although 𝐒𝐻𝐵𝐍𝐿𝐴, who he will most likely be replacing, is left-footed. And the Blades have signed him on a season-long loan from AS Roma, the side that, of course, operate in Serie A. It's an exciting signing. Olsen's parents are actually Danish, and he used to hold a Danish passport before deciding to represent Sweden at international level. He is from Sweden. He was born in Malmö, and he made the bulk of his appearances for Malmö. That, of course, as I mentioned, his hometown team. And then later, FC Copenhagen in Denmark, where he won the Danish League twice, the Danish Cup twice as well. When he was back in Sweden, he also had massive success in Sweden. So he knows how to win. That's definitely a good thing. But Olsen joined Roma from FC Copenhagen in 2018. The fee was £10 million. That gives you a kind of idea of the quality of keeper that we are getting here. I still think of 10 million as an enormous amount of money, but hey, I started watching football in the 80s. Olsen has been in England before. He was on loan with Everton, where he played 7 times. He actually was a bit dismayed with the amount of football that he got whilst with the Toffees. He was certainly hoping it would be more. He was on loan there from Roma. He also spent time on loan at Cagliari, another Italian team, but he did express his disappointment at not playing more. I did find out his entire career stats. Perhaps you'd have expected him to have made more appearances at his age, but it's 267 appearances. He's conceded 299 with 96 clean sheets, and that is not to be sniffed at. 96 clean sheets is a high amount of clean sheets if you don't regularly follow goalkeeper stats. So that could even really be thrown in nicely to our next section, which is strengths and weaknesses. And as you might have seen with my 𝐒𝐚𝐽𝐻𝐿 video, I'm not big on weaknesses. I'm a very positive thinker, and let's look at his strengths. He is a keeper who, despite his size, gets down low. He is good at quickly making decisive decisions, as recently demonstrated in his nation's 2-1 win against Spain. A fantastic win for Sweden. There was a moment in that game where he got down very low to make a quick save, which kept his side in it and eventually led to that victory. That was a game in which Olsen looked good. He looked calm. I watched the game. He was confident, commanding of his box. Olsen kind of just has that presence anyway, as you'd expect for someone of his size, even if he isn't renowned for being particularly vocal. But he's got a very accurate long throw, which will be good to see. And he can start attacks in an instant, which is, again, something that I think we want to see a lot more of. We got used to at times with the Wilder era, the ball being rolled out. Well, now it might be being hurled out, and that'll work well to start those attacks. For me, his key areas of strength are his aerial ability, his jumping prowess, his reach, his reflexes. He's very brave, and he's got naturally good positioning as well, which is something you want to see, of course, from a goalkeeper. Sometimes he's been known to lack a little bit of discipline. If we're searching for weaknesses, he's not one for punching. Is that really a weakness? Certainly, in England, it's not necessarily considered a weakness. I'm not a fan of keepers who come out and punch. I'd much rather a keeper that comes out and claims, and that's what he prefers to do. Many would cite that as a strength, especially in the English game. More in the European game, punching is popular. He can also be one that likes to stay back. He's a more defensive keeper than one of those modern sweeper keepers that we're seeing a lot of in modern football. But when he does have to come off his line, he does so decisively. He's quick to read danger. An example of this was when playing for Everton up against Newcastle in November 2020. Came off his line and dealt with a 1v1 versus Allan Saint-Maximin, and he dealt with it absolutely superbly. That's against a rapid player in the ASM. His passing with his feet isn't his strongest suit. He's still good at it. From what I've been watching, it's not his strongest. And his kicking is decent. So again, this is from what I've watched. I haven't seen as much of him as I will have done, say, at the end of the season. How's he going to fit into the Blade system? Well, put simply, he's a really good goalkeeper. He will be the best goalkeeper at the club. We've essentially replaced an international keeper who's on the fringes of the international setup with his nation's number one. So Ramsdale to Olsen, in my opinion, on current ability, this is actually an upgrade. I think long-term Ramsdale will go on to have a better career. But right now, this is his prime. This is his peak years, Olsen. I think this is a fantastic addition to the Blades, as the owner of Sheffield United would say, Prince Abdullah, roster. So we've done well here. He comes on loan. He will be one of, if not the best keepers in the entire division. Roma fans, if you read what they've said online, you translate it, they've been very complimentary about him. And they've said he deserves first-team football. You know, only getting those 27 games for Roma. You see how long he's been there. That's not enough. A keeper of his caliber needs to be playing. He'll get that football now. Asked about moving to Sheffield United, Olsen was quoted as saying, and this was in the Swedish outlet, Football Skanalen. I know we've got our subscriptions to that renewed. He says, I'm very happy that it was resolved in the end. The talks had started during the European Championships, and there were rumours about clubs. But for me, the focus was to perform during the Euros and to follow suit. I have 2 years left with Roma. It was probably their chance now to sell me and make good money. I do not want to go into which clubs negotiated with Roma. I'm just happy and revealed that it all worked out. Sheffield were a nice club when they were in the Premier League and have the ambition to go up again. I want to be part of that journey. I like that. He goes on to say, then it's a case that I needed playing time, and I enjoyed myself in England last year and felt that I wanted to stay in England. I hope that the journey there can end very well. So do we, Olsen. So do we. That is Robin Olsen. He stops goals.